You are listening to the Julie Parker Practice Success Podcast, where you discover management insights and strategies for a successful dental practice. There are also interviews with key people in the industry who have advice and services to help you and your team achieve great success. Welcome to this week's episode of the Julie Parker Practice Success Podcast. This week, I wanted to share with you the audio copy of one of the Lunch and Learns that I have presented for the club members over the past weeks. It is a fast-tracked way of self-improvement, and many dental practice team members may benefit enormously if you are interested in fast-tracked self-improvement in what I'm talking about during this presentation. So have a listen. I hope you gain great value from it. Enjoy. Hi there, club members, and welcome to this week's Lunch and Learn. This week's presentation is about your self-improvement. As you know, I'm mad on constant and never-ending improvement, both for ourselves personally in our lives, but also for the practices that we are involved in as well. And what I want to go through with you today is a lovely process of getting better real quick. And it's called the Jahari Window. So today's club lesson is called the Jahari Window for your self-improvement. Now, the Johari Window was developed by a couple of psychologists, and it's a combination of both their names. One of them was named Joseph something and the other one was Harry something. And so they combined the two names together and came up with the Johari or Johari Window. And this is what it is. I'm going to go through this step by step, but broadly look at this grid of 4. And what the Johari Window is, it's about recognizing what we know about ourselves and what we don't know about ourselves, and how that can be a real helpful aid in both self-discovery, and then once we've discovered those new things, what we can do with them in order to improve and get better. So the first area you will see is called the open area. And the open area are the things that we know about ourselves and the things that others know about us as well. Then we've got the hidden area, and the hidden area is the things that we know about ourselves but nobody else would know about. I'm going to give you some examples in a minute. And then we move around to the blind area. This is the stuff that others know about us, but we don't know about us. And that's the key. That's the crucial area we'll be talking about today. And then we have the unknown area, and that's the stuff that both we don't know about ourselves and others don't know about us either. So let's step through each one of these quadrants for a little bit further explanation. So the open area, the stuff that's known to ourselves and others know about us too, to give you some examples, maybe it's that you are quick to laugh. You certainly know that about yourself. You know you love a good joke, and others know that about you as well. Maybe it is that you are compassionate, something that's clearly evident to you and to others. Maybe that you're a true cheerleader of the people that you're working with. You know it within yourself. It might be something that you have really tried to encourage within yourself, but others can see that within you as well. And also, as a negative one to throw in there, impatient. You know, gosh, certainly I get terribly impatient with my computer and the internet when it gets really slow. I know about that, and I think everybody else knows about it too, because I'm quite vocal when it happens. The next area with the hidden area is we could be talking about things such as anxiety. So that could be something that you know about yourself, but you hide it from the rest of the world. Maybe you have got terrible shyness that's really debilitating to you and you try to overcome it all the time. It's something that you don't necessarily talk about, but you certainly know about it within yourself. Religion is something that, and how religious one is something that sometimes can be hidden from other people around you. And also ambition, and being ambitious could be something that you know about yourself, but you don't want to come across as arrogant or a negative connotation around ambition, and so you tend to hide it within yourself. And so as I'm moving through these grids, have a think to yourself, what are the things that I know about myself that others know as well? But what are the things that I know about myself that others don't necessarily know about me? Let's move to the third quadrant, the blind area. And the blind area are all the things that we don't know about ourselves, but others certainly do. They could be things like that person seems unsure about themselves. Or it could be that you're caring. You may just think it's just normal everyday behaviour, but others identify quite clearly that you're a very caring human being. How about being sarcastic? Sometimes we always think, people like me who love a good joke, we think everything's worth the laugh. And some people love sarcastic humour and others hate it. And so you're just thinking you're being humorous where others are seeing you as quite sarcastic. A classic thing that you may not know about yourself that others do know about you, if this is the case, is maybe you are intimidating. And this can certainly raise up within a working environment. Let's go to the fourth quadrant, the unknown area. So this is the stuff that we don't know about ourselves and nobody else knows about us either. And it could be things like a fear of success. I know that I never understood what the fear of success was all about. And a few years ago, I spoke to Charles Covest, the co-founder of JPPS, and my husband, and said, I don't understand what this fear of success is. Who'd be fearful of success? It's just all positives, isn't it? And then when he took me through this process, I'm like, oh, I think I have a fear of success. And it's a classic common fear, and we have done a previous lunch and learn on when we were doing it Goals Month. I went through what stops us, the things that stop us, and one of the things can be a fear of success. So if you'd like to know more about that, jump back onto that lunch and learn. Another thing that is sometimes not known by ourselves or others is how resilient we are. We don't recognise how resilient we are until we are called upon to show and exhibit that resilience. And so sometimes that can be a bit of an unknown. Being sensible. We may not be consciously aware, but we're actually stepping through our life in a very sensible way, being quite risk averse and sensible in what we do. How about wise? Again, we don't necessarily walk through our world thinking, I'm so wise, and others don't necessarily know about us either. And every now and again, you may have an interaction with somebody about a particular topic that you just happen to know a lot about. And you come out from that thinking to yourself, gosh, I'm a bit more wise than what I thought. So wisdom can sometimes be something that we're not really terribly conscious aware. And because of that, we don't really push it onto other people around us, and so they don't know about it either. Now, when you are looking at the Jahari window, the intention behind it is as the more self-aware you are, the more stuff that goes into the open area, because you are out there trying to find out the things that are unknown to you that you can improve upon. Your open area gets larger, your blind area gets smaller, and your hidden area, it also encourages you to share things about yourself, share with others that you might be feeling anxiety at times, that you're trying to overcome shyness, that you are quite religious and it does affect the decisions that you make every day and your behaviour every day, and that you are quite ambitious, for example. And so start to bridge the gap between the hidden area and the open area as well. The unknown area is all the subconscious stuff that we've got going on behind the scenes. We'll rarely tap into a great majority of that. There's so much there. It's all of our past experiences and the emotional attachments we've had to things and the beliefs we've developed from when we're little children. So there's an enormous amount of information there. But the intention of the Jahari window is to share what is hidden, to discover what we are blind to, and to increase the open area of ourselves. And so from that perspective, let's just concentrate on the blind area. I truly believe when you can embrace that there are things in your blind area, both wonderful things and other things that aren't terribly helpful in your relationships or getting work done or your performance that's affecting your performance, you can have really fast-tracked self-improvement, because quite often we are naturally resistant to finding out things in our blind area. I'm going to go through some exercises that you can do to discover the things about you that work well for you and discover the things about you that others don't see as working well for you. You can then really tackle those things and improve your performance, your experience of life, and your relationships dramatically. And as I say, it's really fast-tracking it as well. So let's have a look at some of the benefits within the dental practice situation if you were going to dive into the Jahari window as a means for your own self-improvement. Number one, it's self-discovery. We can't do anything about anything if we don't know about it. As Charles says, you can't pull out the weeds in your garden until you find out where they are. So we need to be open to that self-discovery process in order to start to improve. Number two, when you go down the path of some of the exercises that I've got listed within this Lunch and Learn, it can be a wonderful way of building trust amongst team members. What I have absolutely found is that whenever I have asked people around me, can you help me identify weaknesses that I have so I can actually start to improve upon them? Nobody is ever mean-spirited or cruel about it. You come to that communication really vulnerable, and they usually respect that vulnerability. And what studies have certainly showed, when you've got two people in an interaction, if one person comes to the party and brings vulnerability to that space, the other person has a natural inclination to be empathetic towards that other person. And so you find that the feedback they deliver is done in a very caring and sensitive way. They don't take it as an opportunity to stick it to you. And so because of that, because you're in that space of vulnerability together, it can absolutely build trust. And if all of your team members who are participating in this kind of exercise, or some of the exercises that I'm about to discuss with you, gosh, everyone's in that same basket together, and that can build lovely trust. It engenders empathy, as I just said. When somebody is out there saying, I want to improve, I'm putting myself in this very vulnerable position, I don't know what the feedback's going to be, but I am going to embrace that feedback with enthusiasm and intention to improve, then the other people around you will feel that sense of empathy for you. And self-improvement, that's what we're here all about. We want to get better and better in our lives and in our performance within our workplaces and within the practice itself. We want the whole practice itself to consistently improve, be a better and better place to work at all the time, delivering better and better services to your patients. And so self-improvement is absolutely the purpose behind getting the Jahari Window underway. It certainly strengthens your relationships too. When you have participated in such a profound way to somebody else's self-improvement, you feel that as a participant. But if you're the one doing the self-improvement, you've got a sense of gratitude for them playing a positive role in your life, and you feel like there's this strong link between you. And so it certainly strengthens your relationships within your team. Now, this is the first exercise that I encourage you to do in order to start tapping into that quadrant of the Johari window, the blind spot or the blind area. And I, back in 2016, read the book The Winner's Bible by Dr. Kerry Spackman, and he has got on his website a tremendously powerful tool. It's really quite wonderful. I've got the website address down the bottom there, winnersbible.com/online-audit. And what this process is, you identify at least 4 friends, colleagues, family members, people that know you well, and whose opinion means something to you as well. Get at least 4 email addresses of these people, and you email them information saying to them, I'm on this self-awareness journey. I'd love to improve on certain things about myself. I'd love you to help me in that process if you don't mind. And then their participation is providing you with anonymous feedback. It all goes through the Winner's Bible website, so you don't get to see who said what in their feedback. It's all anonymous, which is wonderful because it encourages the other person and gives them a space where they can be more frank, quite possibly, and more open with you and give you something even more meaty and useful moving forward. And the kind of questions that the participants are asked about you is just to list what they perceive as your strengths, also what they perceive to be your weaknesses, and also what they perceive to be repetitive mistakes that you might make, and any other information that they could deliver to you which could be helpful for you. Now, I know that it sounds like it's going to be really stressful, but keep in mind, you're reading through this feedback by yourself, so you don't need to put on any kind of performance for anybody. You will likely read things like I did back in 2016 that were like, oh gosh, I didn't realize that that's the way I was coming across. I didn't realize that that repetitive mistake, another person has noticed within me. But what it does do, it helps you identify, gosh, if I don't shift these things, that's going to have an ongoing negative impact on my life. And it does give me, it certainly gave me, and I hope it gives you too, it gives you the meaning, it gives you the purpose, the very helpful, powerful purpose behind receiving that feedback. And then you can go about and try to improve on those areas, ask other people what they do to manage those areas better themselves, all the things that we do to try to identify what better behavior, what better responses look like so you can then start doing them yourself. Keep in mind as well, they're giving you feedback around your strengths. And so you will likely have strengths that you're not completely aware of yourself. And so you know the good things about yourself and you have an awareness around that. But finding out more good things about yourself is pretty nice. It's pretty good. So you end up getting a bit of a balanced view. But you do need to have that sense of embracing whatever comes through. And please feel the ability to embrace that, because the feeling you get when you start getting better at these areas and achieving better results and a happier experience of life, gosh, that feeling is so much bigger and stronger and more powerful than any discomfort that I ever felt around receiving the feedback. And the more practice we get with receiving feedback, the far easier it is. And it doesn't take that often to actually start getting much more comfortable with it. So dive on in and get that feedback. So there's the Winner's Bible. I do encourage you to buy it. You can find links to everything through that winnersbible.com website. The next exercise is 360-degree feedback. And this is another pathway to discover the things that are unknown to you and how other people perceive you and are working with you. Now, the 360-degree feedback is a bit more of an employer-employee situation, and this is one of the free downloads on my website. So just go to the website, julieparkerpracticesuccess.com or .com.au, it's up to you. It all goes to the same place. And then scroll down the menu to free resources. And within the free resources tab, you will see a whole bunch of downloads. And there's a couple there that are going to help you discover the stuff that's in your blind spot. Number one is the employer-employee 360-degree feedback. And I'll just quickly step you through the questions that are asked within that. So 360 degrees indicates it's not just one way, it's all the way around. And so the first part of this is the employer providing their feedback to the employee around various different aspects of their performance. And then it flips. The employee gets a chance to do the same thing with the employer and provide them with feedback. So question one, makes logistical decisions in accordance with the goals of the practice. Question number two, does the employee manage patients in accordance with the customer service policy of the practice? Question number three, does the employee work with a positive and happy attitude? Question number four, respects the directives of the employer. Question number five, they are a good communicator with the employer. They communicate well with the employer. Question six, are they open to new ways of doing things? And question seven, do they receive feedback professionally? And then we're going to swing it around 360 degrees for the employee to answer about the employer. Communication with team, what kind of communicator is the employer? Question number two, provision of necessary and requested training. Question number three, allocation of necessary time to complete responsibilities. Question number four, works with a positive and happy attitude. Question number five, expectations on team performance. Question number six, considers new ideas carefully. And question number seven, allows team members to work without too much scrutiny. And you'll see that each of these questions, they have a linear line there that you make a marking, either excellent, satisfactory, neutral, needs improvement, or needs a lot of improvement. And so that's a nice straightforward way of finding out where your employees are at and what kind of feedback can they deliver to you that may be helpful in identifying the things within your blind spot. And the next exercise that I suggest is one of the other downloads on my website, which is the Employee Satisfaction Survey. If you don't want to do the 360-degree feedback, then maybe the Employee Satisfaction Survey will provide you, as an owner or manager of your practice, some information that's going to be crucial in order to improve in certain areas and finding out the stuff that's in the blind spot. And here's the Team Satisfaction Survey. Do you enjoy your current role within the practice? If no, what elements would you change? Do you feel well supported by your team members? Do you have any concerns about the manner with which the team operate? Do you feel comfortable with developing your relationship with clients? Sometimes that's the big barrier. We want people to be warm and rapport building with all of our patients, but maybe there's a shyness there that they're needing to overcome in order to deliver a strong performance in that space. If you had a concern about working in your current environment, when would you speak up? That's crucial. So many people say, I wouldn't speak up at all. Everyone who speaks up gets in trouble, or there's a cost to bear, or I'm afraid I'll be put upon or hated, or all the reasons under the sun. But it's a great question to ask, that if there was a concern, would you bring it up? And if so, at what point? Do you receive acknowledgement and praise from your co-workers and superiors? What if you worked in a team environment that you thought, yeah, there's no complaints, everyone's getting along fine. But then when you do this kind of survey with all of your team members, they say, no, I am never acknowledged or praised for all the good things I do. Yikes. That's something that we got to figure out how to implement if it's not happening already, that's for sure. A good blind spot area to have brought to your attention. Have you ever made a mistake? If yes, describe what happened and how the team reacted. This is so crucial. If mistakes are a bad thing in your organisation, and I don't care what you say, so many people say, oh yeah, mistakes are fine. We all need to make mistakes. We all do make mistakes. But actions speak louder than words with this particular area. So if your behaviour around mistakes is making people pay in some way for them, a couple of things happen. Number one, people stop wanting to try new things because they'll inevitably make mistakes and then bear that cost. Number two, the minute somebody else makes a mistake, they're one of the first ones to point it out because at least it's not me. And number three, when mistakes are a bad thing to happen in your organisation and someone does make a big mistake, they are more likely to try to cover it up rather than come to you and get the whole thing solved. And so if your actions indicate that mistakes are bad within your organisation, that is certainly something to be aware of from your blind spot so you can start working on it and get better. The costs are too great. Are you interested in furthering your training within your current role? Are you interested in changing roles in the future? If yes, what role would you change to? What areas are a source of negative feelings for you? What areas are a source of positive feelings for you? What is the ideal method to train you? That is, how can I approach you to modify an action in a way that brings out the best in you? As Charles Covest says, we're all weirdos. We all respond wildly differently to any given situation. What an ideal way of training Sally may not be the same ideal way of training Jenny. And so finding out from your team members, what can I do to create your ideal environment for you to perform well, be trained, find out and receive feedback. This is all crucial information if you want a really good dynamic within your team. And so those 3 exercises will help you identify stuff that you're not aware of, that if you were and you could do something about it, you would deliver stronger performance, have a happier experience of life, and build on your already strong relationships. So elements within your blind area can absolutely be revealed through an anonymous online audit, such as is in the Winner's Bible. The 360-degree feedback between employers and employees, and the Employee Satisfaction Survey. Once you've received the feedback though, what then? Well, I've got a plan for you. So let's finish off with this plan. So what to do with the information? Number 1, note down your current behaviour. Now, micromanagement, many of you will know, was one area that was in my blind spot. Terrible impact that it had on my relationships and the kind of person that I presented and worked with as a team member. So let's use micromanagement as an example. And so I've found out that being a micromanager is a weakness of mine that I'm not aware of. So first of all, note down my current behavior. When I am working with others, I am scrutinizing their work way too much. I am not allowing them the chance to learn something and perfect it through practice and mistakes so they can get to become a master themselves in that space. I need to let go in order to allow that all to happen. So micromanagement is certainly the current behavior that I'm trying to change. Next is to identify the desired behavior. So rather than when I'm feeling the need to jump in and micromanage to heavily scrutinize somebody else's behavior, I need to identify what my desired behavior is. And let's say that I think a better response, rather than jumping in and micromanaging, is to instead step back and say the words out of my mouth. I will leave you to it. If you need me for any ideas or support, I'm right here. And so I have to identify what my desired behavior is. Otherwise, I'll just keep bouncing back into default. We need to replace our default behavior with the desired behavior consciously in our brain. So again, like when we write things down, it leaves a stronger impression on our brain. Even if we never read it again, it doesn't matter. The process of writing it down is very powerful. So write down the current behavior, write down your desired behavior. The next thing is to recognize when the trigger occurs. So when do I jump in and be a micromanager? The trigger could be when someone asks for my help. The trigger could be just when I'm seeing somebody do something in a way that I don't specifically do it in that exact way, so they should do it exactly like I do it because that's the only way that I find acceptable. And so figure out what are the triggering events or circumstances that trigger that micromanagement. And so I could write down that the trigger is when people ask me for help, and when I notice someone doing things in a way that's not the same as what I do. That's the trigger. When we recognize what the trigger is, that's when we can then push forward with our identified desired behavior rather than defaulting to the regular behavior that we've been prone to that's not helpful. And then there's a fourth step that I find has been very helpful for me when I go through this kind of process. And that fourth step is make a declaration to yourself, a commitment to yourself to behave in your chosen, desired way next time that you are triggered. So say it out loud to yourself, okay, next time I'm triggered to become a micromanager, I will promise to myself that I'm going to be rolling out my desired behavior because I want the better result, because I'm on a journey of self-improvement. So make that strong declaration to yourself, and then allow yourself the time to make mistakes and have to practice and repeat before you master it. Don't expect yourself to jump on board straight away. If the next time you're triggered, you go down the path of micromanaging again, don't sit back and say, oh gosh, I'm useless. I just can't shift it. That's it. It's just the way I am. No. We all need practice and repetition and making mistakes along the way to become a master at anything. And so the times that you don't go out and roll out your chosen behavior, just remind yourself, oh, that's right. I didn't roll out my chosen behavior. From now on, every time I'm triggered, I am going to do this instead of my old default pattern. So just declare it to yourself, and you'll find just within a few short instances that you'll start to improve straight away. The next thing I suggest that you do is diarise to perform an audit every year. If you were going to go down the path of doing the feedback from team members, the 360-degree feedback between employers and employees, and certainly the anonymous online audit, put a note in your diary, do it every year. Because I was doing this Lunch and Learn today, I reflected back over my 2016 results of what people around me at the time thought were my strengths and weaknesses. And I have to say, I looked at those results and I thought to myself, I don't recognize that person. Who are they talking about? That is so far from me. And what a wonderful, joyous thing to experience, that sense of, I am better. I have progressed. I am self-improving. If I had done that audit every year, I think it would be enormously powerful thing to see the rate of progress on a more regular basis. Because we do just live our life every day, we don't often see the changes and the power of those changes in our lives. And so recognizing where we were then, because it's, we're making a documentation of it, we're journaling in a sense of where we are right now, of where we are at that time, and then to revisit it and revisit and revisit it, you will be able to see this strong and clear journey of self-improvement, which in itself is enormously motivating for future development. So reflect over the past year's progress when you do an audit or a survey or whatever you'd like to do every year, and continue that self-discovery and self-development process, because we never get there. How exciting is that? We're never there. We're just constantly striving to be better. Good luck with this process. I really do encourage you to embrace it and boldly move on down this path. You will absolutely see the enormous impact it can have in your life. You just need to embrace the journey. Now, before I sign off, I want to talk to you about a pilot program that myself and Amina Basile, she is of dental management expertise, another dental practice consultant just like me, and we collaborate under the company name Dental Business Mastery. And for the very first time, we have designed a dental practice management program, and it's in its pilot stage. So there is a super special offer for anybody who is interested to come on board, join us for the journey, and provide your feedback so we can really perfect the student experience moving through the program. I'm going to provide a link in the show notes so you can have a good read through what is involved within the program. But very briefly, it covers all of the topics that are pertinent to dental practice management. It's designed for receptionists who may be doing some practice management duties, practice managers, whether you're new or established, and practice owners as well. We are planning for the program to last 9 months, and it will involve weekly online live sessions, which will be recorded for those who can't attend the live sessions. And get this, the price is only $150 plus GST every month for 9 months. For those people that would like to join us, as I say, we're giving you this super special price because it is the pilot program, and we need your assistance and feedback on the way through to make sure we are hitting the mark and making it a wonderful journey for all of the students. So jump into the show notes, go to the link if you're interested, and we'll get you all enrolled and signed up. The program starts on Monday, the 6th of December, so there's not much time, so jump onto that straight away. Thank you for joining me today, and I look forward to seeing you very soon. Bye.